All right, hello again. Today we're going to talk about the last unit in this concept. We talked about surface area last time. Now we're going to talk about volume. I've broken this up into 3 videos where we're going to talk about prisms, we're going to talk about pyramids, and we're going to talk about spheres. With spheres, we're actually going to be talking about both surface area and volume because they don't take a lot to do. So, we'll go through and we'll do those. As usual, there are going to be more videos up this week. You're going to see some videos lecture style like normal, and then we're going to see some Twitch videos as well. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get a hold of me on my email right here. And then I will put those questions into a Twitch video as I'm streaming. So what are we going to do today? We're going to find the volume of a prism. And how we're going to do that, we're going to use the formula to calculate the volume. So the Prism formula is very simple. You find the area of the base face, just like last week. You find the height of the prism, just like last week. You multiply those two, and then you're done. Hooray! So, on that note, let's go ahead and get started. So with this, we gotta find the area of the base, and this base is a hexagon, so we're doing that whole 1/2 apothem perimeter thing. So our volume is area of the base times the height. Well, let's find the area of the base. The area of the base is that right there. Our apothem is 8.7. Our perimeter, well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. Each of them is 10 yards. So our perimeter is 60. 8.7 times 60. And that sounds like 261, but I'm going to double check that with a calculator once we get through and we do this. So we've got 1/2 times 8.7 times, let's try that again, 1/2 times 8.7 times 60, 1/2 times the apothem times the perimeter, and I was right. Hey, 261. So our base area is 261. Our height is just, we read it off there, that's 6, and then we're just going to do volume equals area of the base times the height. So whatever that is, it's 1,500 something probably. 261 times 6, 1566. 1,566. The units are yards. Since it's volume, it's yards cubed. We're doing volume, which is a 3D measurement. It is a measurement of how much space is taken up by this figure. How much space horizontally, vertically, and width or depth or whatever. So just when you're talking about the units, we're talking about yards cubed. All right, same idea. We're going to do the exact same situation. Go ahead and give it a try. Okay, so volume is the area of the base times the height. So the area of the base here, remember, we're doing the area of a circle, right? Is pi r squared. We got to find the radius. Well, the diameter they give us is 12, but we want the radius. The radius is 6. So don't forget about that. Pi r squared. 6 squared is 36. Put a pi on there. And the height, there's the base. The height is just this. The height from bottom to top is 10 kilometers. And so we're going to do the volume equals the area of the base times the height. And then you just, what's 36 times 10? Leave the pi alone. Don't do anything with the pi. Just move the pi away and do 36 times 10, and then you can put the pi back when you're done. 36 times 10 is 360. The pi comes back because that's a factor. It's not just 360. It's 360 times 3.14, which is over 1,000. And then we look at the units, kilometers. And since it's volume, kilometers cubed. Now, one aside, last week we talked about how the book is going to give you a special formula for the cylinder because, I don't know, they want you to memorize more. But there's no reason to memorize a second separate formula for the cylinder when you already have one for any prism, regardless of how many sides the base has. It's just a base with 0 sides. It's a circle. So you don't have to memorize pi r squared h when you can just remember, hey, the area of the base is pi r squared, and there's the height. Why do extra? You already have to have all of these area formulas in your brain already. This is just one more area formula that you have to remember anyway, because you have to remember the area of a circle. So you might as well just lump this in with the other prisms and not try and have it be a whole separate thing. This has been one of my soapbox things that I've been talking about for as long as I've been teaching geometry. It's like, there's no reason. Why do extra? Why memorize yet another thing when you don't have to? That's more that you have to keep in your brain, that you lost a relative's phone number because of that formula that you had to memorize. Don't. All right. Same thing here. Go ahead, take a minute. I'm going to write the formula down right here. And you're going to go ahead and give it a try. I'm also going to move this over here so I have more room. All right. So, once again, we got to figure out what's the area of the base and what's the height of the prism. Here's one of the types of problems that's going to get you a little bit confused, because what are we talking about? What's the height of the prism? What's the height of the shape? What's all the things? Be careful. Just be careful. Try and start off the problem by paying attention to the base shape. Remember, the base shape, if there's one that's not a rectangle, that's what you use every single time. And notice here we've got a trapezoid. This is our base. And since this is our base, our height is going to be the edge that's not there, this edge right here, right? The one that's going across the prism. Here's the base, here's the height of the prism. So now let's just work on this face. Let's work on this face. Remember, this is a trapezoid, so 1/2 times the sum of the bases times the height. Well, I was about to say, what's 1/2? Well, 1/2. What's base 1 is 6. What's base 2 is 11. So what's 6 and 11? Yeah, 17, that's right. And then the height of the trapezoid is 5.5, right? And so now we're just going to multiply those things together. And once again, if you don't want to have to try and do some of this arithmetic in your heads, I don't blame you. And then get your answer. 46.75, and that's the area of your base. And then you go through and you multiply by the height of the prism, which we already indicated over here, that's 6. And now we're just going to do this. We're going to say volume equals 46.75 area of the base times 6 the height, and that's all. You just now you do that problem and you get your answer is 280.5. And then our units here are centimeters, so volume is centimeters cubed. You know, and that's really all there is to it. We're going to do 4 more examples, but they're all the same. It's just a new shape for each time, right? So go ahead, give this a try, make sure that you can do it. And you go through and, well, what's the base face? You know, they're all rectangles. How do I choose? It doesn't matter. Just pick one. Don't try and think too hard about these ones with rectangles and squares. Just pick one. It doesn't matter which one, and then whichever face you picked, take the perpendicular measurement to it, and there's your height. So our area of our base, well, that's just 8 by 8, right? 64. Our height is just going straight up, that's 4. So now we're going to do that. 64 times 4, and there's a really easy way to do that in your head, times 2 and then times 2. 64 times 2 is 128. 128 times 2 is 256. Times 4 is the same as multiplying by 2 twice. And again, you look at the units are yards. So we want yards cubed for volume. Take another 10 seconds or so and just try this out. I'm going to take 10 seconds. You take longer. You pause the video and give it a try. So as we go through, this one is going to be representatively basically the exact same thing as this one, right? We're going to do the 1/2 AP since it's a regular polygon. And then after that, everything's the same as all the other ones, right? So it's just all more of the same. Just the same thing over and over and over again. I'm giving you all these examples. And it's okay if you don't feel like you need all these examples. I'm going to go through them just because sometimes repetition is helpful. But you know what? If you're like, I got this, Mr. Webster. You only needed to do like 1 or 2. Well, now you can stop the video and go do the homework. Congratulations. But for those of us who still need it, you know, here we go. 1/2. Apothem is 5.5. Perimeter, well, one side is 8 and there are 5 of them, so 8 times 5, that's 40. And there we go. So now we just have to do half times 5.5 times 40, which I think is 110. 5.5 times 20. We'll double check because yeah, 110. Good. All right. So the area of the base is 110. Where did you get 1/2 from 1/2 times 5.5 times 40? Where did you get 5.5 times 20? Well, I just took the half and I multiplied it to the 40, right? Remember, multiplication is commutative. You can do it in any order you want. As long as they're all multiplied together, you can pick your order because life is helpful like that sometimes. So now we got the height, and the height is the thing that we haven't touched yet. We used that, we used that. We haven't used the 9 yet, so there's our height, right? The length that is going from the one base to the other base. So now we're going to do our volume calculation. B times H. I already know what B is, and I already know what H is. I don't know why I'm writing the letters again. B and H. And I multiply those together. 110 times 9, 990. See, one good thing about having small numbers over here is you can basically just distribute the 9 to everything, right? 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 0 is 0. 990. No carrying, no returning, no now doing anything complicated, which is nice. And then the units are yards, so yards here, volume means that yards cubed. Alright, two more. These are both going to be triangles. They're just going to look a little bit different. But if you've got a good handle on this, you should be able to do this right now. So go ahead and try it. So we're just going to do the same thing. Let's find the area of the base. And this is one of the reasons, you know, to point this out, especially like here. Look, I've got a little b and a little h, a big B and a big H. If I keep the capital letters to represent things about the prism, and I keep the lowercase letters to mean things about the faces, it's going to mean that you have less confusion. Like here, I know the difference between big B and little b, big H and little h. For little h and little b, I'm looking at the triangle face, right? So I'm looking at this thing. So look, I've got this right angle here, so that means that I've got a base and a height right here. So my base is 6, right? This is also 6, and my height is 8. So I'm going to put those right here. And half of 6 times 8, 3 times 8 is 24. That's my base. And now, here comes the part that everybody's going to mess up. Do I use the 5 or do I use the 10? Which one of these is not on the base face? Like, look at the base face right here. I've outlined it. Here I'm going to outline the other one too, because sometimes it helps to see both. Right? This is the other base. Now look, 10 is the hypotenuse of that right triangle. Is that the height of the whole prism? No. In order to see the height of the whole prism, we have to be going from base to base. So that's these that I'm highlighting in red. That's a height. That's a height. That's a height. And so look, the height is going to be 5. Right? Don't be afraid to make, do colors and stuff like that. It will help. It does, I promise. Volume equals base times height. Well, the base is 24. The height is 5. Multiply that out. 24 times 5. Here's another good mental arithmetic thing. Multiplying by 5 is the same as dividing by 2 and multiplying by 10. So half of 24 is 12, and then times 10 is just put a 0 on it, so 120. 24 times 5 times 10 divided by 2. 240 divided by 2, 120. Units are feet, and since this is volume, we want it to be feet cubed. Don't think too hard about these, honestly. They're not difficult. They're very simple. Now here's going to be another triangle. Think about how this triangle is different. And then do the problem. So one of the things that's going to make this one difficult is the fact that there's a ton of extraneous information. Like, we don't need these we want the area of the base, right? Well, there's the base and there's the height. What's this 6 and what's this 3? They're not part of the situation. Get rid of them. Make them go away. Just tell them to buzz off and don't let them bother you anymore. Tell them to buzz off and don't let them bother you anymore. They are there to cause confusion. They're there to cause delay and wrong answers, and there is no sense in keeping them in the picture. It's not doing as well as I'd hoped. Oh well, but still, you get the point. Get rid of this stuff. Make it go away. Because now look, I've got no confusion whatsoever as to what I actually care about. Here's my triangle base, face, and then there's the base, there's the height of the triangle. So when I do this, the area of the base is 1/2 BH, little b, little h again, right? I'm just doing 1/2 times 7 times 2.6, and I'm not going to do that in my head. And you can go through and get your answer, 9.1. There's the area of your base, and then your height is this 10. And again, just go ahead and multiply 9.1 times 10. And one other good thing about multiplying by 10 is that multiplying by 10 means you can take this decimal place and just shift it over 1. It's an easy mental arithmetic trick to doing multiplication by 10. Go from 9.1 to 91, and again you see the units here are kilometers. So since we're talking about volume, we want kilometers cubed. Alright, we're gonna have 2 more videos this week, one about pyramids and one about spheres. The one about pyramids will just cover volume since we covered surface area last week. The one about spheres will cover both surface area and volume because it's easy. Alright, have a good one.